This podcast is for entertainment purposes only. At the end of the day, I'm just a bloke with a chest freezer in his backyard, and before undertaking anything such as an ice bath, you should consult your health professionals and do your own research. Now, time for the show. G'day legends, it's episode 4 of the Cold Exposure Hot Topics podcast. I'm your host Trav Dittmar, and today I'm thrilled to have Jason Parker on here with me. Jace, how you going, mate?
Good, mate. I'm good, thank you.
Excellent.
Well, thanks for having me.
Oh, always a pleasure, mate. You know that. Now, first go on the chest freezer ice bath today, and you did about 4 minutes. So we've had a few minutes now. How are you feeling?
I'm cold. Well, I've warmed up a little bit now, but yeah, it's the body's now adjusting. But I'm feeling really good and energised and alive, and yeah, it was well worth it.
Yeah,
well
excellent. Now you'll see in the reel that gets published that there was a bit of a struggle to get through the ice when we were breaking it up as well.
Absolutely, it was. I didn't realise how thick the ice would be, and yeah, it's definitely solid. So. It's a lot different than a couple of bags of ice, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. I didn't tell Jace he'd be doing a bit of cardio today, so I think, I'll have to apologise for that after we're all said and done here. But so Jace, you and I have known each other through Man on Purpose for over a couple of years now, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely a couple of years. Both of us met through just being in the group and participating. So yeah, it's been pleasure getting to know you as well.
Yeah, likewise, mate. So for those who don't know you so well, or might be their first time interacting with you today, tell us a bit about yourself.
All right, I'm 50 years old. I've been on a bit of a journey of self-discovery for the last 3 to 4 years. Previous to that, basically just your average guy, just doing the average life, going through life, doing whatever. I guess I was conditioned to do, if that's the right type of words, and going through relationships, owning a home and doing those things. And I sort of got to a point, I didn't know who I was anymore. So that journey through Man on Purpose, that was part of that self-discovery, and it is ongoing. It's something that doesn't end. I don't think there's no outcome of enlightenment. It's just, we keep going on the journey, we keep growing and evolving. So that's who I'm wanting to become, is that better version of myself through this journey. So in my personal life, I enjoy surfing. I should say bodyboarding. Let's be a bit more specific, yes.
Yeah, don't want to upset the group.
No, but there is some love between the both groups now. But it's bodyboarding is something I've done since I was 13, 14 years old, and absolutely it's a passion and love of mine. I don't do it so much as I used to, as the body gets older and it doesn't recover as well as it used to, but I still love doing that. Outside of that, I'm a bit of an introvert, so I do spend a lot of time alone, which can be challenging, can be good. I do love connection with people, and it's only recently that I've learnt that I'm okay. Whereas being an introvert was being regressive and away from people and avoiding social situations, but now I'm starting to move towards the social situation. So that's a little bit of who I am. I'm born in Australia, grew up in Australia. My parents English, Scottish, so they come from the school of hard knocks, if that's what you call it.
Yeah.
Life was tough for them too, but they moved to Australia when they were in their teens as well.
Wow.
They've had to put their challenges to the test as well.
Yeah, awesome. So, from what it sounds like, you've had parents that have, had their challenges and, made a real honest way of it. How do you think that's influenced you going, throughout your life, not only from where you are now, from this, very intentional journey that you're on, but even before, when it was, like you say, you were conditioned to be doing certain things? How has their influence shaped your life?
I think for a long time is like with my parents, they didn't know what love was because both of their parents, my grandparents, really didn't understand how to nurture and support children. This is just my perspective and my opinion based on what I know of my parents and where I am today. Um, they made the choices to come to Australia and have a better life, but ingrained in them having a better life meant you worked hard, you built a house, you had kids. They had groups and connections, but a lot of their life was about them. So as a child growing up, when my emotional needs needed to be met, it was get over it, get through it, don't worry about it, those types of things.
Toughen up.
Toughen up. That's a good choice of words. When I cried, parents just didn't know how to be there for that moment. It was like they internally in themselves they shut off. So for me, moving forward, that's what my life. That's in my own experience. That's why I'm kind of an introvert, because I learnt to go into my own room and deal with things myself, even though it wasn't the best coping mechanism at the time. But that's just how it was. So that's how that conditioning sort of came about from me. And then as I got a little bit older and moved into the workforce, it was like, okay, that's what you do. You go to work, you earn money, you get a house, you have kids if that's what you want to do. And that's just what life was, and you made the best of your time outside of that. So, and that's how I had to try to adjust to life being who I was and just going and doing a job. Yeah, there was a value in money and things like that, but as I've gotten older, I've realised that there's less value in working and actually learning more about myself and understanding the inner workings of me, because everything can change. So yeah, that's kind of the conditioning of where I got to those last 5 years and all those things, and that translates into relationships as well. So.
Yeah, certainly. Something I've found in recent times as well on my own journey is that one area of life trickles out into others, and it does so in unexpected ways, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
And you mentioned that you were quite introverted, which I still see elements of that character within you, but I also see this beautiful man who is very engaged with his I'd say tribe. I think that's certainly what a good group of friends who are like-minded is. And how is finding that group for you really brought you out of your shell?
It gave me a place to speak, where, for instance, as an example, in social settings, and even with my circle of friends that I've known for years and years and years and years, you just didn't talk about things. It was like everyone had to be witty, funny, sarcastic, all of those things, and conversations never really went beyond surface level. So when I felt down, depressed, whatever those words you want to call them, the terminology, where I didn't feel good. I didn't know where to turn. I didn't have my friends to speak to, and even though there probably were some in there, it was how do I engage that? So finding groups like Man on Purpose and, we can say men's work, if that's the right way to say it, because I think it encompasses everybody anyway. But specifically around men's work, it just gave me an opportunity to open up to other men and then realise that it's okay, that there are people just like me, that being an introvert isn't unique, because it's a terminology that is for people that need to come back to themselves to re-energise. So, what I found mostly with the groups is just people are supportive. People want to hear what you have to say. People have experienced those things you've experienced and want to engage. And I guess through that's just sort of opened my heart and my chest and allowed me to actually listen to people as well. And hear their experiences, and then I can take on aspects of what I hear and what I learn and incorporate that in my life. So it takes away the fear of having to engage in conversation. Yes, I am an overthinker. I still overthink situations all the time. What do I say? What am I going to say? But at least coming with these groups and these connections and the tribes, it's like, it doesn't matter anyway. That's, then we can come to that saying authentic self. So.
Yeah, and I really like that, how you finish that with, being your authentic self. It's one of those things when you are in that grind of, okay, I've got to do this, then I do this, then I do that, you tend to leave yourself behind. And when you can embrace and be welcomed by a community where, you just be yourself, it doesn't matter. You tend to find that we're not all that different, are we? We've all had our certain experiences, all had bad things, all had good things happen, and at the end of the day, we're all just walking each other home. I think, like you say, I think it's getting a bit better with men. I think we've certainly come a long way. We've still got a long way to go, but it's really, really cool that you've been able to recognise that within yourself, and now you're trying to help others do the same thing. So well done to you for that, Jace.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Now, we did touch on a little bit as we went through there, but tell us a bit more about your mental health journey. So that was, obviously the journey doesn't end or, anything like that. It's not a linear process, but what's been the journey for you from that perspective?
Yeah, so mentally, obviously, like being that introvert and that overthinking, I spend a lot of time inside my head, which can be a good place, but most of the time it's not a good place. It's the thoughts of self-doubt and who am I? It really comes down to who am I, and then that self-loathing, self-deprecating talk which goes on inside the head. I've had that pretty much my whole life, and through times of, how do I say, it's like seeking outside validation.
Yeah.
So my whole life I've pretty much tried to go, well, I need something to validate me. Whether that was stepping into relationships, whether that's through, in recent times, like social media was probably a big outlet as well. And spending too much time away, not connecting with groups and things like that. So I've suffered times of depression, times of anxiety. I think anxiety is a big one. How that translates in my body is it's just I can only describe it as a real nervous feeling, and it's not wanting to put myself out there into the world. So then I regress back into that self space and spending that so much time alone, which in that headspace just isn't healthy. So I've seen psychologists in my time, I've seen counsellors in my time, I've seen relationship counsellors, gone through some spiritual counsellors as well. I found them helpful, and at times after coming out of those things as well, I felt good, but it kind of regressed back to those things. And as I said earlier, it doesn't go away. I don't think it ever goes away. It's just, as I've grown over these last 4 years, is learning tools that help to regulate our nervous system, and they're not traditionally what you think they would be. So for psychologists tend to talk. There's a lot of talk therapy, and I think that's great for releasing things you want to say, but it doesn't really address the problem or address what's sort of going on inside. I think it's a bit of a relief, but it doesn't give us the tools to, all right, what do I do now moving forward? Do I just keep talking?
Yeah.
Because you've said what you wanted to say. So
it's kind of like the Band-Aid, isn't it? And like, as you say, there's certainly benefits in going and doing this talk therapy, but like that's an hour out of a couple of weeks or an hour out of a month sort of thing. And it's about, okay, what am I doing the rest of the time? So what have you found, what tools in particular have helped you when you're not necessarily seeing those people and having that release?
Obviously, because I spend time alone, one of my favourites is meditation. I love meditation, and every meditation is different. I think there's this misconception around meditation that we need to get to a certain place in a meditation. And meditation isn't about getting to a certain place, it's just getting to being here and now with ourselves. And I've found through those things as well that some meditations I don't get out of my head. It's still there. But at least I can recognize that I sat with myself for those moments. Other times those meditations are perfect. They gave me everything I needed in those moments for my body to just slow down, just to calm down and just sit in the moment. Do I take anything away from that afterwards? No, it's just I got back to myself. So now I'm present and I can be a little bit more clearer with my thoughts, and then I can carry that energy through the day.
Yeah.
Breath work, obviously you've done some breath work yourself as well many times.
Love the breath work.
I love breath work. When I first discovered breath work, I chased it because it gave so much of a feeling and it did have a big relief. So when I say those types of breath works, they're more your transformational style of breath work, where they're long periods of consistent, deep breathing. When we, similar to an ice bath, you start to feel sensations in your body, different things, a lot of emotion surfaces. And I think as humans, we carry emotion. It's not just a feeling, it's something we carry and we can release it. It gets stored in the body. I think for me with the breath work was, I started to chase that, the letting go for a little while. And then through learning different techniques, I've understood that it's not always about letting go. It's also about bringing in. So for me, breath work, each one I do, I can start to get a gauge of, okay, am I feeling emotional at the moment? Am I feeling suppressed, regressed, a little bit maybe depressed, nervous, those types of things? And I know that there's probably something I need to let go of. And breath, through stimulating the body and the nervous system and really getting down into that, that, I can't remember that area. You got
solar plexus.
Solar plexus, that's the word, and that parasympathetic nervous system, that spot there that's where that release comes from. That's where it's sort of held. And then once that it goes, I tend to feel good. So they're two tools as well. Connection as well. Surrounding yourself with good people. I find our environments are a big factor in creating those things, because what we surround ourselves with is what we become.
And they do say that it's the 5 people you surround yourself with the most is who you sort of broadcast to the world within yourself. That's who you sort of become, isn't it?
Absolutely, yep.
And I love everything that you said there about our meditation and our breath working. We always used to emphasise when we were down at the beach, these aren't tools that you have to come down to a certain group for. They're tools that you can use yourself, which is something really beneficial even for 5-10 minutes a day. Now I wanted to touch back on, you mentioned about meditation before obviously, and how sometimes you can come just within yourself and your mind's clear. Other times you're just processing stuff within your mind, and there's a place for both of these, I think. Tom Bilyeu, he has the impact theory. He actually describes that first stage you were talking about, where your mind's racing, as thinkitation, where your mind might just have a lot racing, or you'd be busy doing X, Y, and Z for the day, and then your brain wants to come back to this because it's unresolved or whatnot. Tend to find that practice is really good as well, just because A, you're getting through everything that you think you need to get through, but B, by bringing yourself into that meditative state, you're actually processing things from a more calmer point of view as well. So no, that's really beneficial as well. I'd like to just emphasise that, like, if you are trying to meditate and you feel like your mind's racing, that's okay. That's your body, your mind is telling you what you need to be doing at that time. And you'll get to the point of relaxation where you don't have stuff going through your mind, but it's about trusting your body and not getting angry when it's like, okay, it's not attaching yourself to an outcome.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's a similar thing with your breath as well.
The goal is to meditate. The goal isn't getting to a state of enlightenment at the end, because some days it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
You might get one day out of 3-4 months where you do get that enlightenment in a meditation, and you might chase it a little bit further each time you meditate, but meditation is what I've learned. I did another men's group. It's all about coming back to the body, because that's where our emotion is. When we can settle the emotion tends to feed the brain and the thinking. Do you know what I mean? So we feel that nervousness or anxiety in our body, generally then that feeds the thoughts, and then the thoughts start to feed the emotion. So you just get this loop which just keeps building on itself. So the point of meditation for me, and I love to emphasize it to people as well, is just come back to the body. Just notice the sensations. Those thoughts are going to be there no matter what. You can't stop the brain from thinking. So bringing the brain back to focus on something in your body, tingling in your hands, breath going in through your nose, out through your mouth, rising of your stomach, in your chest. Perfect ways to get your brain to focus on something else. So for me, that's the point of meditation, in being here. You have to be here in that moment to notice your body. You can't be sitting here trying to focus on your body and then looking out the window and going, oh, I see the breeze blowing and stuff like that, because that's where it's going, or sitting there being aware of your thoughts, which kind of brings you to another thing which we're going to talk about after, as well as, you know, like who are your thoughts, you know, are your thoughts you, or are you the watcher of your thoughts? You know, so when you, I can't remember the example right now, but someone said the other day, if it comes to my mind, I'll bring it up, is, you know, you can, without saying anything physically out of your mouth and just sitting inside your head, say, I can see a mountain. And in your head, you just said, I can see a mountain. You can hear that like you're hearing it with your ears. But who said that? Do you know what I mean? So who is your thoughts? Because it didn't come from your mouth, and you didn't hear it from your ears, and you didn't see the mountain with your eyes. It's all just a thought. So you can step away, and the practice of meditation is to just notice that it's just a thought, and it's just something you can watch and let it move by, and you can focus back in on breath, feeling, sensation. So every time now I practice meditation, that's where I practice, is like, okay, in the feeling, being here and now. And sometimes my body takes me, or even I had an experience Friday evening, which was amazing. I've never had it before. Is sometimes when we go through guided meditations, people ask you to see something, visualize something. And a lot of time people struggle. I struggle to visualize what I'm being asked to visualize. And we're trying so hard to see a mountain or an ocean or a field. You know, we're trying to see every single little flower and things like that. And we're trying to make it so perfect. You know, that's the thought. You know what I mean? And it's just, all you have to see is a field. The other evening, I was going through a meditation, which was guided more so on the breath rather than focusing on anything. It was just asking to focus on the breathing. And all of a sudden I noticed behind my eyelids I was having clear visualizations. So rather than trying to, it just appeared. So I could see the sky and I could see the stars, and then I was at a beach and I really had a feeling that I was there at that place, and the guided words were still there. I could hear them, but they kind of disappeared. So I was in that moment right then and there. Do you know what I mean? So that's like when people say be in the moment, that's kind of what I'm referencing. So through that I realized that my body was wanting grounding. So as a child I used to look a lot at the sky and the night stars, and as an adult I love the beach and getting my bare feet on the sand. So those visualizations just appeared, and my body saying you're grounded. So it's just a good point of reference for how I see meditation and the benefits that come from it.
Absolutely. Like there's no, and you know, this takes a bit of time as well, but there's no ties to the outcome. It's more just, whatever's going to happen here is going to happen. And that is where the magic happens, you know. Like yourself, I've had a bit of a meditation and breathwork journey as well, where I go, okay, for argument's sake, look, I'm really going to focus on my trauma with sexual assault here, and then like inner child stuff comes up about something completely different. You know? And it's
Yeah.
like we can try as hard as we want to focus on something, but the body, the mind, the subconscious, whatever you want to call it, knows where we need to go. And once we can let go of that, let go to the ties of the outcome, yeah, that's where the magic happens.
Yeah.
And I really feel like that's the way, you know, easier said than done with life in general sometimes. But if we could have that focus where it's like, you know, particularly as you know with me, I've just quit my job, where it's like, okay, I could focus on the outcome now, like I need to have this job by this time, but there's every good chance it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, and yes, there's things that I can do, but ultimately whatever's going to happen is going to happen, and, you know, losing the ties to that I think is a really, really powerful thing in general too.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you're spot on what you said, is that, you know, like we have goals and outcomes, and I think our thoughts and our actions, as long as we put them in place, something will happen. It might not always be what you expect it to be or look like, but the universe is always working for you to get to those things. Yes, you can have those pictures in your mind, and eventually they may come about as what you want, but the journey might not be what you expect as well.
Exactly, and, you know, the journey's the best part, isn't it? Because we think we're, you know, like, I think that, you know, when we all get into the wellness, personal development space, we all go, okay, by this time I will have achieved this. But then life goes, oh, hang on, you know, unexpected medical bills. Or,
Yeah, we're just going to put a metal rod in your wrist. Or,
yeah, exactly right,
yeah.
exactly right. And so, yeah, I think that's really, really beautiful. It's
Yeah.
just that ability to free yourself from that and just embrace the journey.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Yeah, so let's talk a bit more about your journey, Jace. So obviously you're, you know, facilitating now Amora Wellness, and
Yep.
you've got a couple of other things going on as well, I believe. So
Yep.
let's talk a bit about that.
Yeah, so Amora Wellness stems from Man on Purpose. Obviously, you're a part of Man on Purpose there as well. Facilitating was not something that was in my field of vision at all, particularly with Amora Wellness. But through my learnings, I kind of had a vision in my mind that was something I'd like to do. Did I picture it being that? No. But the opportunity came up and was offered to myself, and during the group Man on Purpose, and I had fear. Yes, my nervous system, the anxiety, and the person, and going, oh, what will people think? You know, the classic, what will people think, or what will I do? How will I be able to do that? Was there. I sat with that, but it was, for me, and mind the language, it was a fuck yes moment.
Yeah.
So when it was offered to me, I had to say yes. So it's something I have thoroughly enjoyed. Yes, it's still, I get nervous, just the same as everybody else. You know, you can talk to the biggest gurus in the world who go up and talk on stages, and I guarantee you, every single one of them still feels nervous. So for me, I realised it's okay to feel that way. So
Even another way to look at the nerves is, you know, you're placing that much importance of it within yourself. You know, where it's like, oh, I want to create the best thing I can possibly for these people. So that obviously means it's something that you're meant to do because you're passionate about it, and you know, it's something that you, like I say, you care about. And, and you know, I think when you are nervous, the more times you do something, the more comfortable you get, the easier it becomes, doesn't it?
Absolutely, and I think the opportunity that was offered was recognition of my growth as well, and the journey that I've been in that 3-year period of spending that time in the Man on Purpose community and doing the work. Also, not just in those groups as well, but doing my own work and seeking out other things that I can do to help myself. And now stepping forward into this, something that came to mind for me the other day was, this isn't about me. Like, what I do isn't about me. There are people sitting in front of me who come for whatever reasons. You know, some may be for healing, some may be just to connect with people, some people to enjoy a Saturday morning, have the sunshine, appreciate some breath and meditation. So many different reasons. And for me, looking at it now, it's not about me and what I say. It's about them and what they need. and what they want to feel. So I've been really appreciating that aspect of this journey as well. On the side, I've started to do a breathwork facilitators course, which is specific to breathwork around somatic being body, and yes, it does incorporate transformational breathwork, but it also incorporates other ways of breathwork that not everybody needs a transformational breathwork. You know, some people might want breath to lift up. Some people might want to sink down. There's so many ways breathwork can be used to help people move through trauma, or help people move into healing, or just help people, you know, regulating their nervous system. So for me, this is just expanding my knowledge of what is breath, because what I do now is only through my own experience of doing breath work, and what's worked for me and how I see it assist people as well. So that's been a really big step as well. So I enjoyed that. So I only started that a week ago, but I'm really enjoying that journey as well, and a few things have sparked that.
Yeah,
Ignited something within me that craves to be of service to people, because I feel sometimes you feel like it's selfish. You know, what I'm doing is a selfish thing, but it's not. When we better ourselves, we can better others.
correct.
Yeah.
When you fill your cup, you can actually help other people, you know. And it's an easy trap to get into when you're facilitating and always leading people. Sometimes it's forgetting to fill your own cup. But the good thing about breath is, you know, half the time you're breathing with people when you're teaching them anyway, aren't you?
Absolutely.
So you're getting that concurrent benefit.
Yeah.
But, you know, what it sounds like, you know, you're coming from a place of where a lot of people come from when they do teach breath, is that, okay, this has helped me out a ton now. I want to learn how to do this and teach people so I can help people the way it's helped me.
Yeah.
And that's really, really cool, man. Not
Yeah.
everyone wants to do that, you know.
No, yeah.
It's easy to sit in the sessions and get up. That's really good. Go home, but to be able to, you know, genuinely impact people's lives in ways, you know, especially with the Saturday mornings where people will come down for the first time, not knowing what to expect. And I mean, we both experienced it where people come up to you, just give you the biggest hug at the end. Thanks for that, man. I really needed that. You know?
Yeah.
And it's like, that's just the extension of the benefit, isn't it? You're like, oh, you know, I'm just here doing what I want to do, and then it's a whole new level of gratitude and feeling when that resonates with people, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And as you just mentioned, when you're sitting in it, you know, it's your own experience. You know, when you're doing a participant of the breath, it's your own experience. You're not really, no one else around you. You're not really worried about what's happening for anyone else, and you know, it's very personal. Whatever it is, but being facilitator, you know, you notice that when you deliver the guidance through the breath work, that each person's experience is individual. So one person over there might be smiling and laughing, and then another person over there could be completely breaking down and in tears, you know. So it's being able to hold space for all of those different aspects that happen in front of you. So, you know,
sorry, to go on there, like, you know, we both experienced those emotions ourselves within breath as well, you know, and there is no right or wrong way to do it, is there? Like,
no.
But it's great when you're in that community and breathing together, because you feel, you know, like you say, old mate over there might be having the time of his life, and then someone over here might be having a breakdown. It's all okay, you know, there's all this safe environment, and then these people might connect at the end and be like, hey, this is what I got, this is what I got. And it's just a beautiful thing, isn't it?
Oh, it is. And seeing people realising that they're not unique, even though we are all unique individuals, that the experience isn't so unique, and the feelings you get through moving through life and anxieties and the human experience that we all go through isn't so unique. There are thousands of people who are experiencing the exact same things you're experiencing. And when we get communities together, you might get 2 or 3 people who are having that same experience, and it allows them to come together and connect and talk and not feel so isolated anymore, and then that may form further friendships down the line, whatever it is for those as well. But just being able to be vulnerable, talk about your experience, and having someone say those same things back to you, just that also adds an element of, I'll show it in a physical sense, is like, it's that.
It's that validation as well in a way, isn't it? It's like, crap, I'm not the only one that's felt this. It's, people have gone through this. Yes, the nuances might be a bit different as to who's done what and all of that.
Yeah.
But we all come home, we all have those feelings, they're universal.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I think, when you open yourself up to that kind of community as well, you might hear just someone gives you a one-liner that's like, crap, that's just changed the way I completely think of this, Sometimes it might be, Jace gave me a real kick up the arse today because I needed to hear it. And it's not necessarily like that, but you know what I mean? It's that accountability piece, or it's that abundance piece where, everyone has a role in a way, isn't it?
Yeah. And it allows people to come back to truth.
Yeah.
Truth about self, truth about life, and, the situations, and like you just said before, perspectives can change just like that, just through connecting with one, connecting with me, connecting with the experience they've just gone through. So, and I think everyone is seeking truth. They want to know why.
Yeah.
Why am I here? What is going on? And the truth of the matter is, you are here. You're just here, just like me and you.
Yeah.
You're here, and that's the truth. And you can create and be and do whatever you want through all of these tools. They can assist you to with your life.
Yeah, exactly. And as we get these tools and we have these experiences, our why, our purpose always changes, doesn't it?
Yes.
And I think that's a beautiful thing, because there is a bit of that movement at the moment, particularly in some men's groups, where it's like, you need to know your purpose, you need to be crystal clear, and that's it for life. And, that doesn't allow for much abundance or change or scope. So I really think the idea that you've got there, very much the journey and the fluidity of that is really important as well. So with that in mind, obviously, yes, we have goals and things like that as well, but what does 2025 look like for you more broadly?
For me, 25 is a year of expansion. So this year is expanding myself, stepping more into that uncomfortable place, learning more about myself, challenging myself to do things I wouldn't normally do. There's also aspects of inside my personal life that I want to challenge myself to do, which can end up being distractions, or currently are distractions in life. So it's really sort of sitting through those, expanding my knowledge around tools and modalities, and really sort of focusing on where do I want to go in life. We talk about purpose, I think purpose can change at any time, because we could come across something that enlightens our experience, and then what we thought our purpose was before may change. It's okay to have that one purpose too and be so focused on it. That's what you want to do. It doesn't mean that purpose is that's what you have to do. Do you know what I mean? Because I think that also sets us up for failure.
Yeah. Because
there's such this emphasis on this, I have to have this purpose, otherwise who am I? I'm no good. Or if I don't get to this purpose, same question, who am I? Blah blah blah. It's have a purpose, but know that it's always open to change.
Be open to the journey that goal or outcome that you think you want at the moment is going to take you. Yeah,
absolutely, because you never know who you're going to meet along the way. You never know what direction the universe is going to guide you. You might see a door open over here that is like a perfect opportunity, and opportunities are always in front of us. So I think mine this year is learning to say no to things, but also learning to say yes to things that allow me to expand and grow. So and it's just also keeping those connections and surrounding myself with good people that allow me to move in the direction I want to know, I want to go, and just removing people from my life. Yes, it might be abruptly, but also knowing that my time is precious and I can spend time with you, but that time will be limited. So
Yeah, and it's kind of that realization, isn't it, of where it is that you're going. Not everyone can come with you.
Yep.
And like that's okay. It doesn't mean that certain people in your life you have to cut ties with in a nasty or negative way. It just means, hey, look, I used to be about all this and that's changed, so I'm probably not going to see you as much, or it's going to be on different terms. Where and that's completely some people understand that, some people don't, but it's the journey of life, isn't it?
That's right, and it's the level of growth. It's as you grow, you realise that people just stay in that same place, and as much as you would love for them to come with you or do those things, that's just where they are. And I can accept that's where they are and they don't want to go beyond that because they're happy being in that comfort. That's fine. It just means I don't have to be there in that comfort too. And don't discredit me for not wanting to stay in that discomfort, because life's not always about just being a creature of habit.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly. No, that's really, really powerful, brother. So it's sounding like it's going to be a really exciting year for you.
Well, yep, absolutely. It is already, yes.
I'm looking forward to the journey with you, brother, for sure.
Thank you.
Now, a couple of quick ones before we go. This might put you a bit on the spot, but as you would know from my socials, I love my quotes, love a good mantra. What's a quote or something like that that's really resonating with you at the moment?
On this aspect, for every level, a new devil. So I think people think when we level up, it's, like, cool, life's great. But when you level up, you start to realise, you can come back into those depressive states. It doesn't mean you've gone back down here. It just means something more is surfacing, So for every level you get to, there's a new challenge. So every level, a new devil. It just means that you're growing,
Yeah.
So for me, I love that one at the moment.
That's great, yeah. And that just speaks to the fluidity of the journey as well. I've levelled up, but I'm not done yet. There's still a challenge.
You're never done. It's like the video games, yes, video games have an end. There's a final boss, as they like to call it. But for every level, there's a new and challenging, tougher boss to get through. So
absolutely.
For those who can't put the devil, there you go. It's like a video game. There's a boss at the end of every level you've got to get through to get to the next one.
Absolutely, and it's not always quite so clear as Bowser or Donkey Kong at the end. It might be some emotional stuff, it might be some fitness stuff, it could be anything, but that's the beauty of it, isn't it?
Yeah, I love it.
Awesome. So thanks for coming on today, Jace. Really, really do appreciate it. Now, where can people find you if they want to interact with you on social media?
On social media, I'm at noogs_life_, I think. I can't remember. But
I'll put it in the show notes for you.
The name's pretty original. Nobody has my nickname. So, Noogs Life, that's my socials. Generally, I just share a lot through stories and occasional reels. But you can find also Amora Wellness there. And you can find me on Saturday mornings. Facilitating down there as well. I'm not full-time in that position, so reach out if you are happy to sit in one of my sessions and facilitate under my guidance. Just let me know and I can tell you when I'll be there.
Yeah, I can certainly vouch for sitting within Jason's sessions as well, whether he's leading the breath or the meditation. You guarantee the experience that you need for sure.
Absolutely.
So better plug myself as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can find me on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. It'll be under the Cold Exposure Hot Topics podcast. I'm also the Journey of Trav on Instagram and Trav Dittmar on YouTube and TikTok. So thank you for tuning in for episode 4 today, legends. Thanks for coming on again, Jace. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Cheers, guys.
G'day, legends. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. Just a reminder.
I was trying to make sure I was sitting back there. Hopefully we caught a bit.
Trav on Instagram.
Hopefully this is bloody work.
on YouTube. Trav.Dittmar on TikTok. And if you are listening to this podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please give me a 5-star rating and leave a review as well. That would go a long way to getting this podcast out there. And if you are watching on YouTube, please like, subscribe, share, all of that good stuff as well. Thanks heaps, legends, and I'll see you next time.